Hello, everybody. Welcome in. I'm Trevor Lane. He's Keith Smith. Together, we are Wild Stallions. I don't know why that came to my head. This is the NBA front office show. Man, I don't know how I jumped back to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but here we are. It's that time of year. I'm already a little bit sleep deprived. Let's go. We've got tons of rumors and things to talk about on today's show. Keith, we're off to a great start.
Yeah, we are. Hey, be excellent to each other, right?
That's right.
Party on, dudes. Yeah, that's a great movie, man.
That is.
I stumbled on it on cable like maybe a month or so ago, like a Saturday morning. Like there was like nothing on. I think soccer was in like one of their breaks for international play, and I was like, oh, what's going on? And I stumbled on it, and like next thing I knew, like an hour and a half in, I'm locked in on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Fun movie.
It's a good one. Genghis Khan cruising through the mall. People used to go to malls, by the way.
Yeah, they did.
People at the mall. He's got the baseball bat, the aluminum bat. He's going hitting the heads off the mannequins and stuff. Yep. That was a cool scene.
Mark leads the aerobics class.
The dance aerobics. That's right.
Yeah,
that's what a great time period.
The Waterloo water park.
Yeah.
They leave him there.
Napoleon. Yeah, oh boy. All right. If you haven't seen that movie, you should go check it out. I'm sorry we're off the rails so early, but it's a good one. Go check out Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Be excellent to each other. San Dimas high school football rules. Let's get into some NBA news. Don't forget, I promise we actually do talk about NBA stuff here on the show. Before we get into it, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. You guys know we go over all the latest going on in the world of the NBA. Also check out the Basketball Bulletin, which is our Substack and another YouTube channel. I'll put the links in the description down below. All kinds of good stuff coming out there. In fact, I've got some free agency predictions coming out pretty soon. So make sure you guys do check that out. All right, let's get to this. Maybe a little bit surprising. The Bucks potentially looking to move on from Brook Lopez, who's been a big part of their success recently. A 3-and-D style center, a guy who came into the NBA not able to play outside the paint, really, was not a guy who was just a back to the basket big, unleashed the three-point shot part of the way into his career, and now he's known as the leader of the three-point shooting big archetype. And now he could be on the way out of Milwaukee. What do you think is going on here? Why this shift from the Bucks to move on from a guy that has been so integral to their team?
Yeah, it sounds like, and this was tucked into a piece that Kevin O'Connor over on the Ringer wrote, and one of the things he was writing about, it was actually in a little nugget about Bruce Brown, actually, I believe it was.
Don't you love that? It's like he hides it.
Right, yeah, you got to go dig things out. It's like Zach Lowe's, like there's great intel, but you have to make sure you read every single word of every paragraph, which at Zach Lowe you probably should too, and KOC is pretty good as well. So, but yeah, what it more or less was about was Bruce Brown makes $23 million as that team option that we've already talked about before. It was the idea. What he said was the Bucks under Doc Rivers are looking to be a more versatile defensive team. With Brook Lopez, they have stuck strictly to drop coverage for the most part. They messed around with a few things under Adrian Griffin last year. Early, Doc played a little bit differently, but mostly drop coverage, play that scheme. And it's worked well for them, obviously. But it's what could they do to get a little more versatile? And one of the ideas that he pitched was that maybe a Lopez for Brown trade could make sense. But where that came out of was, if they do look to go more versatile, Lopez could be the guy that gets traded. So you pulled it up here, the Bucks cap sheet, 1 year left, $23 million, pretty easily movable if the Bucks wanted to do something different.
Yeah, so $23 million. What do you see his market being if the Bucks are at a point where he's hindering their defensive versatility? What other teams would be in the market for a big that can do the things that he can do, but is limited to one specific scheme on the defensive end?
Yeah, that's where it becomes a little more tricky. Like, who wants to get involved in that, right? Like which teams want to be out there doing stuff. The other thing for the Bucks is we have to remember second apron team. So very hard for them to do a lot of different things trade-wise because of where they are at financially. So we know Houston was interested in him a year ago, but I would assume now they've got Alperen Şengün. They traded for Steven Adams last year, late in the year. I think that's been one of those kind of forgotten type of moves that they do have Adams in the fold for next season. So I'd take them off the list. But could Oklahoma City be a team that's maybe interested? And Lopez plays a somewhat limited role there. But as you start running through like the different contenders, there's not a lot of them that need a center. Like, it's funny because I saw this come out and then I saw a lot of the reaction to it was Lakers, and bring them back. We shouldn't have let them go in the first place.
Well, they shouldn't have.
I 100% agree there. But like, I guess my thing is, I just don't know how that works. Like, how do you get there? It's not a huge number, so they could get there if they needed to, but just, is that really what they want to do? Is that the direction the Lakers want to go? That I'm a little not sure of, that they really want to move AD to the 4 that much and LeBron to the 3. Then that comes with its own set of issues and those kind of things. But there's a world where, man, if you're building a defense around Lopez and Davis, it's probably going to be a pretty good defensive team, almost no matter who else you put on the floor. So, yeah, I don't know. It's at least interesting. My guess is nothing happens, and he probably stays right in Milwaukee is probably how this plays out.
Well, that's not fun.
I know, but that's just kind of how it goes, man.
Yeah, that's true. But look at Brook Lopez. I mean, look at the last 2 seasons, fairly durable, right? I mean, obviously he has suffered injuries during his career, but 79 games this past season, 78 games the season before, turning 36. That's not ideal, but 2.4 blocks per game. Again, 1 year left on his contract, so that's a limited commitment to him for the future. And then the guy for his career was a 35% three-point shooter, shot 37% the last 2 seasons. For a center that can pull an opposing big away from the paint, that's an important skill set to have in today's NBA, at least an important arrow in the quiver that you can pull when need be. So I do think there'll be interest in him on the market. I think the question is, and I think this is not just for the Lakers, but for other teams as well, it's like, do you want to part with, I mean, just trying to make the math work, do you want to part with like a Rui Hachimura plus another piece? Is it worth it for you to do that to get a 36-year-old center, albeit one of the best 3-point shooting bigs available? There's certainly some pluses and minuses to it, but is that the kind of move that you want to make, knowing that, hey, he probably doesn't have a ton of time left in the NBA at this point? His game is not super based on athleticism, so that may help his longevity, but at most we're talking about 2-3 years probably left for Brook Lopez. Then after that, we're talking about a guy who's going to be 38. I don't see him playing much longer than that. So you got to question, how long are you willing to commit to him and bring him in, and then what are you willing to pay in order to get him? But I do like Brook Lopez. I like the idea of a contending team adding him and then using him to space the floor. It'll just be interesting to see what the market really looks like for him. And it would be a little bit ironic because the Lakers actually traded for him years ago with D'Angelo Russell, but doesn't necessarily have to be a Lakers trade. Could be a number of teams that'll be interested in a 3-point shooting big.
Yeah, definitely. I like but right there, right smack in the middle of the screen you have up. 2015-16, he took barely any 3-pointers, took 14 3-pointers. 2016-17, he took 387 3-pointers. He
flipped the switch.
Yeah, he had taken 31 total 3-pointers in the regular season in his career. And then the next year, just as like, all right, I'm a 3-point shooter now. It took 387 of them. Has never stopped taking them since. And then there were only a couple years there, his first year with Milwaukee, primarily where he was down a little bit in volume, but he was down volume-wise across the board that year. But yeah, really has become a 3-point bomber. That's what he does. And the good news is, I think you could use him somewhat similar-ish to Kristaps Porzingis. Now, how Boston used him, he can't put the ball on the floor the way Porzingis can for a couple dribbles and get where he wants to go. But you could drop him at the nail, get a smaller defender switched on him, and all he has to do is just turn and shoot over the guy because he's that big. So I think there is ways you could get creative with that. And obviously a fantastic rim protector, defensive player of the year level guy still. At this point, at this age, in the right kind of scheme. And that's the key. Yeah. It's going to be the right kind of team that will utilize him in a scheme that makes the best use of his skills.
Absolutely. Yeah. Went from 0.2 attempts per game to 5.2 in one season. Crazy. Crazy. But I don't even remember who it was, but there was a coach who just said, you know what? Fire away. Go ahead. And it's changed his career for sure. And it changed really the NBA because there's so many teams now that say, hey, we want a Brook Lopez style 5 that can spread the floor for us.
Yep. So. Yeah, there's very few guys who can provide floor spacing and rim protection. And that's why they're so valuable. That's why I think to some extent it's never quite fully happened, whether it's with the Pelicans or the Lakers. But you keep hearing every coach, every GM says, Anthony Davis, shoot more threes. Anthony Davis, shoot more threes, right? Because that's what they want is we want you to be that guy. And I think they'll believe he can be. And I think maybe what we'll see with him is maybe a little deeper into his career. He'll start taking more jump shots. Like I always think about Kevin Garnett, for example. He never became a real 3-point shooter because that wasn't what you did in the NBA for most of his career. But he did become a very accomplished jump shooter. But it was when it wasn't like taboo to take a 20-foot jumper, right? It was like now it's like, God forbid, why would you ever do that? Take 2 steps further back and take a 3. I think Davis in this modern NBA, I think he will become a guy who he'll probably get up, 6, 7, 8 threes a game, maybe in a couple seasons towards the end of his career, because it's a way also to keep wear and tear off the guy too. You don't have to beat him up on lobs and dives to the rim and pick and rolls and all the stuff where, it's every time you drive, that's another hit you take. Another time you could go down and get hurt. I think it might be to work more pick and pop, but yeah, it's just, that's what everybody wants. If you could get that combo of skill sets, which is still pretty rare, try to get to it if you can.
Yeah, certainly not something that's easy to find. All right, let's jump to this, Keith. We started off referencing Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Let's take another trip back in time because I feel like JJ Redick is becoming Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, man.
Where in the world is JJ Redick, and specifically where in the world is JJ Redick's contract? There is no deal between the Lakers and JJ Redick. Woj just said it. Shams just said it. There is no deal done between JJ Redick and the Lakers. The Lakers are still interested. He's still near the top of the list. At some point, it probably gets done, but it is not done. So we also got news from Woj that Rob Pelinka has indeed spoken to other candidates besides JJ Redick. What's going on here, Keith? We all know it's going to be JJ eventually. Why are they doing this?
I feel like we're to the point where, like, if let's say he doesn't take the job, 10 years from now, we're going to be like, remember when JJ Redick coached the Lakers? Because it just feels like he's already been the Lakers coach, even though it actually hasn't happened yet. And then we're going to be like, oh, no, remember, he never actually did that year with the Lakers or whatever because he took the Pistons job or whatever it may be. I feel like now, right, Pistons being the third player in the mix for coaches, feels like it's all the same guys that are being mentioned for all those jobs, whether it be Lakers, Cavs, Pistons. I don't know. Like, I really am curious. I mean, I'm sure you've already dealt with it. I've seen a million people saying, why don't the Lakers go get Monty Williams? Now, every indication is Monty Williams wants to take a year off and doesn't really want to coach.
Yes.
So if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. I don't think that would necessarily be the worst idea if the Lakers wanted to go that direction.
No, it's worth a phone call.
Sure. And I think in a lot of ways, he may be the best candidate because I think he's going to do far better with a veteran-laden team than what he may have had with the Pistons and those kind of things. But yeah, I am extremely curious now because I really was operating under the assumption of sometime Monday night, sometime Sunday or Tuesday rather, Wednesday. Now we're into Thursday. Like, why is JJ Redick not the Lakers coach? Like, what is going on here? And I can't imagine they're like arguing over a lot of stuff details wise and the deal or anything like that. I do wonder if the Lakers are like, yeah, we're not fully sure that we're there yet. Like maybe they are looking at other people. I really don't know what to make of this whole thing.
I've heard the idea that they just want everybody to really truly see that they are carrying out a very thorough process here. Even though JJ Redick has been the name that's been connected from basically day one with the little fling with Dan Hurley for a bit there, that no, we really are leaving no stone unturned, and we're checking in with everybody and really trying to weigh our options here. We totally promise. I don't know if that has any accuracy to it, if that's what's going on, but it is strange that, I mean, it's been over a month, what, 6 weeks probably? I don't know. I'm guessing since they let go of Darvin Ham, and here we are, still just kind of sitting in limbo, waiting to see what's going to happen. I think at this point, any benefit they could gain from potentially waiting is being squashed by the annoyance and frustration out there from people that even non-Lakers fans are like, oh my God, just do it already.
Yeah, I confirm, hand up, 100%. Like it's getting to the point where it's like, how is this still a thing we're talking about? To your question, Darvin Ham officially let go on May 3rd. So we're almost to 2 months now.
So 6 weeks.
So, yeah, six weeks, or maybe even a little bit more. Yeah, in that range.
7.
Yeah. So we're
Good Lord.
Yeah. That's a long time. And I guess too, like I was asked about this on radio earlier today, and I was like, it confuses me because again, these are the Lakers. Like this is, if the Pistons were having a little bit of trouble, I'd be like, I can kind of get it. Like that's been a factory of sadness for a while. Like what? Like these are the Lakers. Like you've got Stu, I've got Tatum over here. You need to be pet.
The pets are here.
So, yeah, that's it, man. They're here. We'll just give them the show, and ratings will go up.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. It can, like this whole thing. It confuses me, but I'm endlessly curious. And I honestly, what I really want now is make the hire, and then I want the story. Like I want whether it's Woj or Ramona Shelburne or the two of them together. Like I want the story of what happened. Like what has taken this whole month and a half, 2 months to make this decision. Like where are we all at?
Yeah, Keith, I was just looking, and I agree. There'd be a fascinating behind the scenes story. I was just looking for JJ Redick images to put up, and I've seen this picture a bunch of times because I've been using him to build graphics and all that sort of stuff. But I never looked at it this way before, but JJ's expression here is all of us right now. The look on his face is just like, really?
Let's forget all that and let's play the breaking news drop.
Uh-oh. I gotta find it.
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
According to Adrian Wojnarowski, ESPN sources, JJ Redick has agreed on a 4-year contract to become the next head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. Rob Pelinka offered the job this morning, and Redick started working on a staff to surround himself with experience.
Keith, finally.
We spoke it into existence.
We spoke it. We made this happen. JJ,
oh, man.
We did this for you.
There you go,
We
buddy.
did this for you. You can change your expression now.
It's funny. I'm going to hold it up. I don't know if it'll come across well on camera here, but it's kind of similar-ish to the one Woj tweeted in his tweet. So I don't, it's funny. I saw somebody say there's like no pictures of this dude smiling. Like, why is he never smiling? And it's like, well, that's, I guess, how he is. So there we are. JJ Redick, you have a coach.
Finally, you know what this means? I just hit the button. I just published it. The video that I've been sitting on, it's been in the chamber for weeks at this point for Lakers Nation. I finally got to hit publish on that. I pre-recorded JJ Redick to the Lakers.
It would have been really funny if you had like today, like shaved your hair into a mohawk or something, and everybody's like, "What? When did Trevor record this?" Because I just watched him with a mohawk. Like, what is going on? All right. Well, I know you're going to have to do some work now, so we can zip through our other topics. But I don't have a lot more to say other than we've talked this to death already twice earlier when we thought he was going to be the coach. Now he is the coach. I do like the note of surrounding himself with experience. I think that's going to be really, really important for him. Firsthand saw Joe Mazzulla getting in experienced assistants this year, how much that helped him. Having guys like Charles Lee and Sam Cassell on his staff, like that's going to be huge. And I am very curious to see who JJ Redick goes to get some people. But he's somebody who's been around a long time, has a ton of connections. I'm sure he's going to put together a pretty good staff.
All right. Well, fine. That's done. We were just complaining about it. We spoke it into existence. We've talked all about the red flags with JJ Redick. We've talked about the concerns about no experience and all that. He's going to need that experienced staff that you're talking about, Keith. But it's done.
Yep.
Yep.
Woj added on as he does with his add-on tweets. Pelinka is sold with his ability to connect with players, his basketball IQ, and believes surrounding him with an elite staff will help shorten the learning curve into his first coaching job. This is not going to be about X's and O's if JJ Redick is successful or not. I have no doubt he will be successful with that. I think he will be successful with strategy. It's going to be all about the game management stuff in the rotations and understanding the players and how when player X, who's an important guy in the rotation, is in a shooting slump, how do you keep him going and all the sort of things that come through all that stuff. That's going to be what he's going to have to learn. He's going to have to learn it on the fly, but you put the right coaches around, that will certainly help. So I'm mostly excited that it's done and it's not going to be a topic every day, but now I'm excited to see how it works. Like this is kind of big. This is an interesting transition from player to broadcaster to analyst to coach. That's a different kind of transition. So I'm excited to see what it looks like.
You're welcome, JJ. You're welcome. All right.
You are punchy today. I love it.
I am.
You're gonna be a mess by the time free agency actually.
Probably at this point. That's probably
must watch TV. Put on those notifications, everybody, because who knows? Maybe Trevor will have a mohawk.
You never know what's going to happen. I meant to go get a haircut today. This is the longest my hair has been in like forever. And then of course the line was huge, and so I'm like, okay, it just wasn't meant to be.
Speaking of,
yeah,
I gotta go. Did you? I'm sure you didn't, because you're pretending it didn't happen and this season was forfeited.
True.
Like 30,000 people showed up at Raising Cane's in Boston today to see Al Horford. And I can only imagine he was probably there for like 25, 30 minutes. Like,
really?
Celtics fans are like, they are like gone all out over the moon for this team. The parade is tomorrow. I can only imagine what it's gonna be like. It's a Friday. I've already had at least 15 friends reach out and be like, "Hey, I'm going to the parade. Are you coming in town? Are you doing it?" And I was like, "No, I've got too much going on to do that." But they're like, I have all these friends that are like, "Yeah, I'm blowing off work. I already took a sick day." One of my good friends, I'm not going to call him out, was like, "I went in today and at lunchtime, it was like right after, I was like, I'm not feeling so hot. I think I'm going to go home. I think I have food poisoning or something." So he's setting the stage for a call out tomorrow from his job. So,
that's the way to do it. Yeah, well, like, you can write him a note.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was like, that idiot will get himself on TV and probably get fired. So that'll be funny. But yeah, people are fired up for it. Joe Mazzulla spent like all day yesterday just walking around Boston with the trophy. Like just went like and walked around the city and like let people come up and take pictures and touch the trophy and all kinds of stuff. Just they're living it up, man. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, like that's an insane amount of people to go to a chicken place for just a glimpse of Al.
I mean, it is pretty good.
Raising Cane's is good. We have one pretty close to almost dangerously too close to the house. But I'm gonna hand up. I'm a Chick-fil-A guy. Like I'm still Chick-fil-A, but Raising Cane's isn't bad.
I love that like Chick-fil-A, it always winds up being in an area where it is insanely inconvenient to get in and out of the place because it's always slammed.
Yep.
Drives me crazy. But anyway, let's move along here. We'll go. I don't know. I don't know what day it is at this point, Keith. The Clippers may be losing Paul George. It is noticeable that here it's now some time has passed since NBA teams were officially able to negotiate with their own free agents, and there is still no deal. Pascal Siakam got a deal done. Hell, JJ Redick got a deal done before Paul George got a deal done. What is going on here? And is Paul George really going to leave the Clippers here?
I said this, I don't know, it feels like a month or so ago when we really started talking about him again, where it was every day that goes by without any kind of deal, because he still could have done the extension like Kawhi did, where he declined his player option, did the extension and moved on. Every day that didn't happen felt like we're a day closer to Paul George leaving the Clippers. And now we're 10 days out from free agency actually opening. I think he's going into free agency. I'm not going to rule out that he resigns with LA, but I think he's going into free agency and he spends a bunch of time, whether it's the Magic or the Sixers or whoever, meeting with teams, talking with teams. There are the teams that I'm sure will be gearing up to try to get Paul George in whatever form or fashion they can. But yeah, I am really starting to believe this probably is maybe more real than it felt like it had been at any point. And ESPN's Brian Windhorst, he did one of his whole, lean back in the chair kind of thing. That's like his thing now. But he also brought up, he goes, there's a world where the Clippers, if they lose Paul George, they say, we don't really want to re-sign James Harden then. Kind of, we're going to rebuild this thing on the fly around Kawhi Leonard with, they could get to roughly $20 million in cap space, potentially, if they let kind of everybody else go. But we're going to rebuild this thing as best we can and go forward. I don't think it probably gets to all that, but who knows? I'm going to say this. Something really weird is going to happen this summer that we do not see coming at all. We're all going to be doing the all caps. Whoa, what? Like, what is happening kind of tweets. I don't know what it's going to be. I just feel like this is going to be one of those summers where something completely comes out of nowhere and we're like, holy crap, what is going on?
That I like that. I like the sound of that. That's a fun summer when we get that kind of out of left field. Where's this coming from?
Yeah.
Are you thinking specifically with Paul George or just you mean in
not
general?
Necessarily, just in general. I think we're going to get some kind of wild trade or, maybe it is Paul George. Maybe Paul George signs with the Hornets. I don't know. And we're all like, what is going on here? And, this is, it all just gets crazy. But yeah, I think we're in for a weird summer. I think good teams with cap space. We don't usually have that, right? There's like 6 teams that are good or want to be good with cap space or the ability to create some cap space. And that's not a place we're generally in. Like that's a unique thing. It's not a great free agent class. As we've talked about, that generally leads to a lot of trades. Nobody's like getting a Wembanyama where it's like their franchise changing player in the draft necessarily. And I'll add to this, as much as I love that the Celtics won the title, I don't know that anybody else around the NBA is like, well, that's it. Hand the Warriors the championship for the next 5 years. We can't touch them. I don't think anybody feels that way about Boston necessarily. So I think teams are going to be doing what they can to load up and saying, hey, why not us? Why can't we make it 7 for the last 7 years of new champions? And I think that's going to lead to some crazy stuff this offseason. I believe that for a while now, and everything's leading towards it more and more where these extensions aren't coming in. Guys aren't re-signing like we thought they might. Like, I think we're in for some crazy things.
I like it. I bring on the chaos this summer. Let's go. That just means more fun for us and more reason for us to be sleep deprived and punchy and make obscure 80s references, which is always a good time.
Turn on those notifications.
That's right.
And subscribe.
Right. Turn them on. All right, let's go here. The Bulls, talking Zach LaVine trade, reportedly have thrown out 15 different offers. They are that team in your fantasy league. Sending them to the Kings, the Magic, and the 76ers. I guess the question is, at this point, has Daryl Morey turned off notifications for the Bulls?
Maybe.
Is he muted? Is he so sick of these offers? I guess Keith might, before we get too deep into the weeds on this, when I look at all 3 of those teams, Zach LaVine should not be the first option for any of these teams. Right. So I get why the Bulls will be sending trade offers to these guys. But like if I'm the 76ers, I want to do something more significant with my cap space than get Zach LaVine. And I don't dislike Zach LaVine. If you told me Zach LaVine made $25 million a season, I'm all in. Let's go. But on his current contract, I see other uses in an ideal situation for all 3 of these teams than Zach LaVine.
Yeah, you have there's I think a couple pieces that go in with Zach LaVine. One is the contract. 2, there's now an injury history that's a little scary considering his age, and it's a knee thing. And you also have the fact that Zach LaVine is not a super plug-and-play guy. He is a high-usage guy, a guy who's had the ball a lot in his career. What does that look like if you're one of these teams? Now, there is some stuff that's come out of Zach LaVine. He wants out of Chicago and is basically ready to be like, hey, I'm ready to play a role in another place. Now, that's obviously minimizing it too much, right? He's not going to come in and take 2 shots a game, but like he's I think more willing to be like, hey, I'll play a role a little bit differently than what was expected. So I think we're in a place where we may see Zach LaVine in a spot where we see him kind of step up and do things a little bit differently.
Yeah, I think that in a different role than what we see with the Bulls, he can. I mean, look, he's still an extremely talented player, and I think sometimes, and we talk about this a lot on the show, sometimes people take the player's bang for their buck in terms of their contract, and they conflate that to their actual production as a player, to their value as a basketball player. A lot of teams would like to have Zach LaVine, just maybe not on the contract that he's got right now. He's got $43 million this coming season, $46 million the season after, and then $49 million essentially on a player option after that. That's a lot, but I do think with the right team, he could still be a good fit. But I also think that this isn't going to be, at least my prediction will be, this is not a day one of free agency type move or a first option move. This is a team that really wants to get better right now, has tried a couple of other paths, and they've turned into dead ends, and then they wind up at Zach LaVine.
Yeah, I like that thought process. I think there's definitely that in there because this is, for all the reasons we already said, you're not going all in on Zach LaVine probably right out of the gate with this. But I'll add just a little to what you said. I think it's gone way too far now. People have made it out like this guy stinks and can't play and isn't worth anything what his contract is. Is the contract maybe a little underwater? Yeah, maybe. Depends. Especially if he's going to continue to suffer through injuries, then sure. Then it would be considered underwater. But I think at worst right now, it's probably more neutral. And I think for a guy like Zach LaVine, I'm okay if I'm a team that really is like, I'm close and what I need is some scoring punch in my backcourt. I'm all right with rolling the dice on Zach LaVine because I think he can play. I don't think this is a guy who is like he needs the ball all the time and he needs the ball and can't shoot or he's not a passer. Like he's proven to be a pretty good passer in the past. He's not a great defender. He's a competitive defender. But you put him in the right scheme, he probably will show up even better. So I'm not fully out on Zach LaVine by any means, even if the contract and injury stuff is a little worrisome.
All right. Keith, we got a little breaking NFL news on for your team. Your Patriots just agreed to an extension with Ramondre Stevenson.
Hey, there we go.
So there you go. There you go.
I even know who he is. He's a running back. I know that guy.
He is. He is indeed. He is not a bad option in fantasy, depending on the matchup.
Right?
That's it exactly.
Yeah,
that's it exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Let's finish things off with Mario Hezonja potentially returning to the NBA. Maybe not. We'll see where this winds up. A lot of these guys have NBA opt-outs in their contracts, but what do we have here? I know there was some middle of the night type news on this situation.
Yeah. So a couple days ago, Mark Stein just kind of in one of his notebook pieces was like, keep an eye on Mario Hezonja. There are teams that are interested. He may want to come back to the NBA. Then it broke overnight that he kind of broke it himself. He tweeted, I'm staying with Real Madrid. Like I'm staying there. This is where I want to be. Basically then a bunch of other stuff about they welcomed me when no one else wanted me and all this other stuff that he said. But then Shams comes in this afternoon and says, yeah, he did sign an extension, but that extension has basically an NBA out until July 19th, which is roughly by that point, free agency is we're down into the lower end waves of free agency. So Mario Hezonja, my guess, is going to see what is out there for me as far as NBA roles go. He's played well over in Europe for a few years now. The last 2 with Real Madrid. It was a part of them winning the EuroLeague 2 years ago, making the EuroLeague final this year where they lost to Panathinaikos of Greece. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what he could do in the NBA. I'll tell a quick funny story. My buddy and I had partial season ticket plans one year, went to Magic games here in Orlando, and one of the games we were at, it was a preseason game against the Heat. Mario Hezonja and Aaron Gordon pulled, it was Hezonja's rookie year, Gordon's second year. They pulled off this play where they had a steal. Hezonja threw a bounce ball alley-oop to Aaron Gordon, and he threw it down. this was now post Dwight Howard era Magic. You could have told me they were going to have parades every year in the spring and multiple championships coming. And I would have been like, yep, that play was that awesome to see at that time. And it never really got any better from there, with him in the NBA. But it was still a cool memory and a cool, fun play.
Did they call it the annexation of Puerto Rico?
They didn't call it anything. They called it, holy crap, the Magic might be good again. And then didn't. Took a little while. Now we're there, but here in Orlando, but it took a little while. But yeah, it was just a bonkers play. And I remember the place went absolutely, it was a preseason game and people were legit losing their minds. This is what we might have here with these two guys. And it really didn't get better. So, well,
that's, they were an exciting duo at one point. Maybe Hezonja can come back and bring back some of that excitement with him.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, Hezonja he's an interesting player. Already had that block on LeBron. Remember that? In New York when he blocked him at the rim.
I remember that.
It was a crazy play. So yeah, or blocked a short jumper, turnaround, whatever it was to win a game. But
yep.
I mean, he can play. So I'm curious. I don't know. My guess is he probably stays in Spain and makes a lot of money and wins and all that versus coming back to be a role player in the NBA. But who knows? Maybe he wants to take another shot at it. So we'll see. If anybody looks up, they're probably going to look up his stats and be like, really? This is what it is? Real Madrid plays a very everybody eats type of system. Everybody gets shots. There's no one dominant player on that team. So don't get underwhelmed if you're like, scored 11 points per game. What are we doing?
Right.
That's, he can play. He could be an NBA rotation guy on a team, but just, it's just interesting that here we are years later that he wants to come back.
Well, hopefully it works out for him. You never know.
Yep.
Dante Exum came back.
That's it.
Never know.
Hey, JJ Redick's the Lakers coach. It only took a month and a half. So
that's all.
Who knows?
That's all.
Yeah.
Anything is possible, right?
That's it. What did it say? Good things come to those who wait. Right
there, you go.
Heinz Ketchup sponsor us. Wasn't that Heinz? Right? Wasn't that their thing for a little while?
That was their thing because it takes so long to get the ketchup out of the bottle.
Yeah. Get in touch. Reach out, Heinz. Email's in my bio.
All right, everybody, let's wrap things up there. I hope we get more shows like this, Keith, where we get breaking news mid-show, because it's always a good time.
So. I thought you were where we look like complete idiots for half of it, but those are guaranteed to happen. I hope we get breaking news.
We know that's going to happen. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us. Make sure you do subscribe, turn on those notifications as well. Until next time, see ya, and stay safe.